saying Drake has no classics is crazy.
You don't have one.
Wait, you said Drake don't got no classic albums?
Let your core audience stomach that. Tell them where you get your abs from. You know you don't have.
Drake don't have no classic albums.
No, he don't.
Drake has. Okay, I'm gonna name all Drake's classic albums right now.
I would say I think Drake.
He don't got one.
I'm gonna name all Drake's classic albums right now.
He don't got one. It's crazy.
I'm not a Drake fan. I'm notably Team Kendrick all day, right? But I'm not. But I am a Drake consumer, to be honest. He's got some stuff, you know, in his catalog that's like really Yellow Catch Up, man. That's one of my favorite joints, especially they made those little dance videos from the different dance studios with their different versions off that joint. Especially when that part with that beat drop. That joint's hard. So I consume his stuff for sure. But I'm not a fan. I'm a little bit. The thing is, I am a little bit more, closer to the one side of hip hop purists. I'm not all the way there. You know what I mean? I still, I still branch out on a lot of different ways. But for when I make like my list, my personal list for hip hop, yeah, I can be a little bit pure just to make that list. But in terms of consuming all this other stuff that is like hip hop adjacent, yeah, I consume. I dabble. I might make a playlist here, there, or I might like throw that thing on and in the house and out loud in the speakers and stuff like that. But it's not, maybe at the gym or something for some of that stuff. But when I'm like trying to get in my hip hop space, I don't go to Drake and the likes of those, and Travis Scott's and Yachty. I go to Tyler the Creator. I go to Black Thought, freaking Killer Mike and LP. But I consume the stuff. But so to say like Drake has no classics though, that's wild. I mean, even I can admit that. Like in my book, he has at least 3. If you're reading this, it's too late. Take Care, and Nothing Was the Same. Right? There's a couple other ones that people may dispute about, but like I think all things being considered, that would be, those 3 would be like the ones that like everybody would just be like, oh yeah, that's a classic. You know what I mean? So even people that like feel better about I don't know, if you not that, what's that one called? Views, right? Like I think that one's can be, there's some argument there, right? But for these 3, ain't no argument. Ain't nobody gonna argue. Ain't nobody serious, right? Don't be like, yo, those ain't classics. These are 3 classic albums. Yeah. Now, yes, Kendrick does have more. So that was crazy too on that side, where it's like, so for me, I have Damn, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Good Kid, Mad City as the consensus that those are classics, right? From Kenny. Those are classics. That's consensus. Everybody like would not argue over those 3. Section 80 is another one of those that's like, oh well, wait a minute, some people would, but so he has several others that could be considered classics, and that would be more. I mean, freaking he won a Pulitzer off of one of these albums, and and the Grammys that came from him, right? So that's like, it's undisputed for those. G and X maybe a classic. Mr. Morale, I think is one of those that needs more time to cook. I mean, I would be ready to call it a classic, I would be ready to call G. Well, I have a question about GNX. I had to think about that. But Mr. Morale, I think that joint just needs a little bit more time to cook, and we're gonna appreciate it later. Like it's like I feel like we should ask people 5 years from that joint come out. At least give that bit another 5 years, and ask people then if Mr. Morale and the Big Step was a classic album. And I think Foods would be like, oh yeah, we just wasn't ready for it back then. We just didn't. I mean, we just our headspace wasn't there yet. You know what I mean? We still had some therapy, some growing to do or something. You know, or at least a little developing that artistic palette. And Kendrick just had to take us all those years for the rest of us to catch up. But like, you know, those of us that are like appreciating some of the stuff that the alternative hip hop space is bringing, and like the opening up the aperture for that album sounds it wouldn't be the classic, you know, boom bap, you know, Puritan hip hop stuff, because the alternate hip hop stuff allow for stuff like this to open up, like your Kid Cudi, you know, or even Kanye, early Kanye, introducing new sounds, introducing new concepts that you can tap into. You know, the introspection that happens on that album, and the world building and the characters, you know, that are developed, the trauma that was just laid bare out there. That's not usually the stuff that they talk about in like classic hip hop. You know what I mean? But so it's allowed for a little bit more vulnerability there. But so it'll be out. GNX, I wonder though, like, can we call? So when I'm like, I'm thinking like how long it should take for like Mr. Morale to cook before it becomes a classic. GNX just dropped, and so like this is the question of like, yo, is that joint an instant classic? That joint might be an instant classic. Is that concept tenable? I wonder. Like, we say that and we use that thing, but like I wonder. I think there need to be a study, maybe like, you know, when there was like broad appeal for something and it was, you know, deemed instant talent, and to then see if for instant classic, and then see what happens to them 20 years later and be like, yeah, they were right from the jump. Like from the jump. And 20 years from now, so this is why I think there should be a way to judge a classic. So I'm gonna propose a thing here. To judge something as a classic, I think we have to ask the questions: will it get a 20-year release project? Will it get like, hey, this is the, you know, like Illmatic, you know, freaking B. I just did a thing about, you know, Commons project, and I did Miseducation Lauryn Hill. Whoa, that's many episodes ago. But so that's one. Yeah, they at least gonna release it. So like, is this album will there be like, boom, we're gonna roll this thing out and it's like a special a special cover release, a new like a different color vinyl print color that wasn't, you know, or whatever, you know, they just do a thing for the 20-year project. Hey, it was released 20 years ago. Marshall Mathers LP also just dropped the 20th, and so okay, boom, that's one. There's a project. The second criteria I think should be, does that 20-year project, when it drops, does it chart? Like, it's hard to do this for the stuff like way earlier stuff, but I think like going forward, this could be something like we could track. Does it chart? I mean, just Billboard alone, it could just, Billboard alone has this stuff. If it's charting, I mean, there's other ways we could measure it, and I think a third thing could be. Does it move at least 20,000 units? And by units, it's we got all the digital stuff now, so it would have to be like what they call it. So it's digital. I forgot what they call that, but it's like equivalent and traditional. So if at least like a combination, it could be a combination, whatever. At least you got at least move 20K. Now it's kind of okay. So the one example, it's not the one example, but I didn't do too much digging into it. But I'm laying down the ground. Somebody take this and run with it. You know what I mean? When they're a little bit more coherent. But I'm putting this together, and it's gonna make sense. And I'm gonna land a plane. MF Doom, which I reviewed. So I wish I could catalog this stuff a little bit better. But I reviewed. It performed well. The 20th year anniversary. It was just when did I do that? Was that 2023? Oh man, I can't remember. Maybe it was 2 years ago I recorded that. Man, it had a whole different setup, right? It performed well. So did they release that's criteria 1? Did they release it? Okay, boom. Yes, they did. They released it, and everybody already was like, "Yo, this is a classic, right?" We already thought like this is like that's hip hop's like holy grail kind of thing, right? And I think we might have thought it was a classic when it first dropped too. I think it was very well received. I don't I got some more homework, right? But it came out and that joint charted. That joint charted. It charted up to 18 on the Billboard 200. Right? Like 2 weeks. For at least 2 weeks, right? It charted. That joint charted 20 years. He made that music 20 years ago. And that joint charted because it was still hitting. That joint was still hitting. Dang. I forgot about that joint. I gotta go back and listen to it. That's so crazy. It charted. And not only did it chart, that bit had 31,000 equivalent album units move, including 27,000 traditional. I know vinyl's back, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if CDs is back or tapes. Yo, tapes is back. Tapes are back. I saw some, damn, what was it? I saw some, I forgot whose music I was trying to look into. That joint might have been, I can't remember right now, whose music I was looking into, and they were selling tapes of their new stuff. So 27,000 like people got their hands on that bit, like physical, right? And so yeah, and it got new artwork. It had some bonus tracks, some remixes on that bit. It has interview clips. So it allowed, hey, here's a little something. It's a special, it's a unique thing, So yeah, they gotta zhuzh it up a little bit, you know what I mean? So it's not the exact same specific album that came out back then, but it was like 90%. It's 90% gimmicks on the outside and stuff like that. But that joint charted. That joint charted, and it came out and it moved some units. So if you got one of those, right? And so we have to kind of judge it beforehand. Like, do we have projecting in the future? Like are these albums from Drake gonna be portrayed 20 years from now? It's gonna be released 20 years from now. Hey, this is the 20-year anniversary of Take Care, right? So we're thinking, okay, so does it meet that criteria? The second criteria would be, does it chart? this Take Care chart. It's like in the Billboard 200, you have 200 tries, right? 199, right? Or 200. I guess I don't even know to do it 200, but like, just get on there. Just get on the board. Okay, now that it's on the board, does it move at least 20,000, equivalent units? Just 20,000. So what I said, Doom did 27,000. I'm gonna give you that. Matter of fact, how about it's like you have to meet 2 out of the 3 criteria, at least 2, right? And so if you do at least 2, then the first one definitely is a given. Will it get a 20-year release? You got to have that to get the next 2. And then does it chart and does it at least move 20,000 units, right? So you got to get at least, because I could see where like they do release the project and it charts. No, like where they do, and they charge, but like you don't move the units. I would still say that's like, your joint charted 20 years from now, that's still a dope. That's a classic. Or if it's 20-year project, they release it, and then you move 20,000 units, but like ain't no bigger level buzz about you, so that you didn't chart, but you moved 20,000 units like 20 years from now, minimum, right? This is a minimum. MF Doom did 27. That could mean, like you had locked into a core group of people back when you was first out, and like they came back, and so they was tapped in. 20 years later, like you still touching them somewhere, like special. That's a classic. The footprint ain't as large, but because eventually it would have charted. But yeah, that's a classic. I think what the thing is, it's not even a comparison though between Drake and Kendrick in these conversations. I think we've been having the conversation all wrong. Well, maybe people do it because they're podcasting. Hey, we're podcasting. Let's say zany, wacky stuff. I don't know, but like, I get it. So if nobody said it, let me say it here. And maybe somebody point to me in the comments. Let me know if somebody who else said it better than what I'm about to say here. Is that the way we need to start being a little bit more forgiving. I started talking about the scale in hip hop, and appreciating some of the newer direction that it's going. And so it's not totally fair to even compare Kendrick to hip hop in a conversation like this, because just like rock has the different like subgenres, you know what I'm saying? Like you got heavy metal, all indie rock, that's going to be your Arctic Monkeys, Radiohead, punk rock, pop punk, Green Day, think Blink 182, then pop rock. You got your Beatles, U2, there's grunge, there's emo, which is like Paramore and My Chemical Romance, those folks. And I love the gamut of the stuff on there. Not so much grunge. I just, I need a rhythm, right? I need a rhythm at least. You can get me with the rhythm, but I need a rhythm. I just not so much grunge. I mean, I've done some, really enjoyed a good chunk of heavy metal. I have, but I just can't go there. I just can't bridge that gap into grunge. So in hip hop, like it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like we have what we call real hip hop. Under that is going to be boom bap, G-funk, that conscious rap stuff. Even under that part, I will put gangster rap in that, in terms of like this origin story of what is quote unquote real hip hop, right? I'm making a distinction for a reason. Drill music, trap music, grime, over what they doing in the UK. So I'll put that under that umbrella because there's a particular sound that happens when it's like when, you know it when you're listening to it, right? And then there's like another branch of hip hop, TM, that's everything else, and everything else is your alternative hip hop, just like you have alt rock. It's alternative hip hop. Under that there's pop, rap, horrorcore. You even have emo, where I talked about Kid Cudi earlier. Rap rock, right? Even what Linkin Park did, right? Melodic rap. That's a lot of what Yachty did on that one joint that I love. Let's start here. Dance rap is also part of this other branch of like this alternative stuff. Crunk, hi-fi, bounce, right? That's all hip hop, right? In the TM, right? But it's in the alternative branch versus the quote real hip hop. But it's all hip hop, right? Now, where Drake went wrong from the jump is like he thought he was hip hop. He thought he was real hip hop, right? That's what started this whole thing, right? And Kendrick is just like, he's like, bro, I like it when you make me dance. And so like, if he kept it over there, right, and like accepted the larger covering of hip hop and just kept on doing his thing, you know what I mean? But Drake kept on trying to dabble, every once in a while into real hip hop. And it's like, okay, I can consume some of this stuff, but like a little bit of it felt performative. Like he was playing hip hop, right? Trying to like belong or something like that. Either way, it was like a little transparent. And a little annoying. So then he called himself, I don't know if he called himself, but like there was these conversations starting to buzz, and yeah, I mean, like that he might be the top of hip hop. And wait a minute, so Kendrick, it's big three. So we're talking like, this, and that was bubbling around that time. So it would be Kendrick, J. Cole, and you? You? Like when Kenny is like, they not like us, he's saying that like, no, you're that different flavor of hip hop. That's what I'm saying. Like me, and I'm gonna test Cole. I'm gonna test him, right? Because I think like he's up for this. He is hip hop, but like he kind of questionable sometimes, right? Which I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with that, but this would have to fit the narrative I'm trying to build here. So he's probably testing them, right? Yeah, he's testing both of them. Well, I think he might have been testing J. Cole, but for sure he was identifying that Drake, you are not like us, right? And he meant real hip hop. So if Drake just like would not either, I don't know if it was self-titled or whatever, people think greatest is the great. Drake is the greatest hip hop artist. No, not hip hop. Drake, you don't represent hip hop. Not that. Not big hip TM. You don't. You're not the king of it. And you kind of trying to claim it. Like, nah, you usurping the throne. You don't even go here, bro. So, that's how that happened. And so I think Drake most definitely though is the king of alternative hip hop though. Yeah, that's your throne. That's your space. Stay over there. You know what I mean? And don't forget to leave when you go. You feel me? But he had to get checked. And he folded like a lawn chair, You know, it was over for your boy. He just got completely dismantled before the world, disemboweled even. You know, are you not entertained? Feel me? Okay, so just stay over there, and everything will be fine. And so let's stop. We can't judge Drake's classic albums versus what Kendrick's got because it's not the same scale. All right, it's totally different. You know, and so, but we'll see. In larger hip hop, you know, what I mean, do those albums by Drake even make a blip? Now, you know who doesn't have any classics is Jim Jones.
You smoke, right?
Yeah.
Were you smoking when you said you better than Nas?
I might have been a little bit. Well, as far as let's get this right. I'm way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when you talk about the sales and all this type of shit. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that bullshit.
But listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Mm-hmm. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit run. But Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people. Like,
ain't no shame in that. There a lot of folks came up second to Tom Brady.
He never had that type of influence on us, except for his first album.
Jim Jones has no classics. Like, who we talking about? I'm talking about something that we're gonna 20 years from now. Name a Jim Jones project that is gonna get a release 20 years from now, right? Or whenever it had dropped, and be like, yo, right? Okay. Maybe let's say, you know, some crazy thing happens and it does get a release project, right? Maybe it's a money grab. I would say it's probably money grab if 20 years out, right? Is it gonna chart? Is it gonna chart? Like, none of your shit chart, none of your albums, like, well, I wouldn't say it's not gonna chart 20 years from now. You barely charted, you know, when they first dropped. Definitely not like, damn man, I ain't gonna do this research. I'm just gonna go on a limb and say, does Jim Jones have any album, self project, right, by himself, right, that has charted top 20? I'm going 20. Nice round number. I was gonna go 10, but I feel like no, that's, you know, I'm definitely gonna win that one. So, you know, I'm being a little risky. I say top 20. They ain't charting now, like at least not top 20. So is that joint gonna be charting, you know, 20 years from now? You know, probably not. Is it gonna move 20,000 units? Probably not, because they're not gonna release that joint, right? It's not gonna move 20,000. So no, Jim Jones has no classics. And Nas, come on, Nas, stop, right? Like, just the 6 alone, the Magic and the King's Disease alone, just like, you know, it's just, I'm sorry, that King's Disease, that first King's Disease, God dang, that joint had me in the chokehold. You crazy? Yeah, that joint gonna be released again, and I'm gonna listen to it when it drop. What? Nah, dog, we're not doing that. And so the whole Nas Jim Jones thing started because just some YN just had an idea, you know what I mean, and like he just put it behind a microphone, and so it's like it went viral, and Jim Jones is a social media manipulating type dude, whatnot, you know. He got these gimmicks and stuff, and so he got a hold of it, and then he go say something crazy. You know what I mean? Kind of like making another false equivalency. The kid was talking about influence. When we talk about hip hop, what some of these kids are thinking, these youngins is thinking, is a whole different ballpark. Influence. Yeah, Jim Jones has influence. He's like big on social media, you know, like now, currently. And there was a young person that was like, what's happening now and what's happening currently? He wasn't talking about the fabric of hip hop when he said Jim Jones in that regard. For over Nas, he wasn't talking about that. They don't even like look at hip hop as an art form like that. They just see it as like a job, right? It's just like a job that some people got good at, and then they put albums, you know. Like I don't think some kids right now don't even really appreciate some of the magic that's happening on that Travis Scott stuff. That's their music. That's their cohort, and there is some like art happening on that thing, and they might just be consuming that joint because it feel good. But like I hope some kid now is really tapped in, because I know my mind was not. I was just looking for the swing and the bounce and the bass, and stuff, you know, and the crash and the crescendos and the deary moments, the low moments. I wasn't ready for all that. I was ready for all that then. But so yeah, you know, yeah, Jim Jones has more influence now, okay, but like he's not in the same stratosphere, right? With Nas is doing. Nas is like surpassed. He's conquered hip hop, and like he's just like on like doing the side missions right now, and he's freaking a billionaire. Like, you know what I mean? And he did it all hip hop. He did it all hip hop. That's what hip hop can do for you. The other thing Jim Jones keeps talking about is like, oh yeah, Nas had more, you know, he was more influential to the game back when I was in high school. Bro, y'all the same age. This was like your cohort, right? And he was like eating and winning and having these like thoughts and stringing these words together in your same age range. Like y'all like what, 3 years apart, right? Y'all could have been in high school together. So don't be like, oh, when I was in high school, we was listening to Nas, like, yeah, cause you wasn't like doing nothing else with your, like, his brain was already cooking, and y'all was the same age. So you coming out now and talking about I have some kind of influence now on doing the social media stuff, and almost kind of like trying to crown yourself bigger than Nas. Like, keep it on the influence tip, bro. Like, just keep it over there. The influence and the, you know, like, just the King's Diseases alone. Like, bro, you ain't got no, bro, Jim Jones has no classics, dog. Like, I love his stuff. I love his work. I consume the shit out of Jim Jones music. I'm not saying he's bad. The dude has gotten so much better at the art of rap that, like, oh, it was, you know, he might have been passionate about the lifestyle of hip hop or something like that, but like rap, like not early, but now his stuff is good. I look for it every time whenever he drops a new one. He been in the lab. His joint is good. So maybe he's got a classic in him. Maybe it's because it's good. I just ain't heard one yet, though.